Well, that was magical. So before I introduce our next speaker, I was notified that today is Vietnam Veterans Day. So I just actually ask us to take a moment of silence to honor those that have served this country. Thank you. Congressman Mike Gallagher was first elected to Congress in 2016. He represents Wisconsin's 8th District. He is a former U.S. Marine captain, and because of his independent voice, he is already being talked about as a national future leader. It is my honor to introduce him today to the Unrig stage. At New Politics, the organization I founded, we recruit and elect military veterans and national service alumni to political office, and we only invest in transformational leaders. So we are honored to support Mike in his first successful run for Congress, and we are honored to continue to support him now. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "The true character of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy." I think we all know that we are living in serious, challenging, and controversial times in our politics. So where does Congressman Gallagher stand? At a time when policies fall along partisan lines, Congressman Gallagher stands for partnership by writing bipartisan bills on issues from healthcare to political reform. At a time of political cowardice, Mike Gallagher stands for courage by calling out leaders from both parties when he feels like they are not doing what's right for the country. And when most members of Congress right now are not spending a lot of time talking about how to work across differences to solve problems, Mike Gallagher is standing here today with us for the second year in a row. More than ever, we need real leaders who are willing to put country over party and who will put service above self. And I cannot think of anyone that embodies that more in Washington than Congressman Mike Gallagher. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
That's too nice. Too nice. Thank you, Emily, for that overly generous introduction. I, too, would like to object to following that musical act. That was absolutely incredible. The first thing you want to hear after that is a politician drone on for 6 minutes. I want to thank all the organizers for having me back again. I want to thank the mayor of Nashville for his hospitality. Not only his hospitality, but also for providing me with what will surely be my re-election slogan in 2020, drink more beer, the schools need it. That'll get you about 95% of the vote in Wisconsin, so that's good. So why am I back? Why am I back this year? I would say when I came last year, I didn't really know what to expect. I felt like I was the sort of lone Republican elected representative, and there were a lot of issues that I came in with a great deal of skepticism on. I was also lured here under false pretenses. The organizers said, they framed it as, Congressman Gallagher, Jennifer Lawrence would like to meet you in New Orleans. And it didn't exactly work out that way. But I came back because of all the wonderful people that I met and all the incredible conversations that I had. And because all of you forced me to rethink a lot of my longstanding assumptions about things like gerrymandering and campaign finance reform. And I came away from that energized. And I came back to Congress thinking, okay, what can we do? I mean, we're not going to have huge transformational change overnight, but what are some small things we could do to advance the ball down the field in this Congress, in divided government? And so I'm proud to say that we were able to work together across the aisle with my Democratic colleagues, Derek Kilmer and Suzanne Rice, and we introduced something called the Political Transparency and Accountability Act, working with a great organization that here, Issue 1. And this is a piece of legislation that aims to get at some of the most ridiculous campaign finance practices we have right now, such as the way in which members use their leadership PACs as slush funds, tightening the restrictions on coordination between official campaigns and super PACs, requiring disclosure for the top donors in super PACs so we get some transparency. And I'm proud to say that we just got another Republican to sign up, a great guy, John Katko. So we're slowly building this out. And that's all because of you guys. That's because you were willing to engage with me last year. You were willing to engage me in a civil manner, and we were able to build a bridge across party lines in many cases. And so I just would like to similarly challenge you as you spend the next 2 days here in Nashville. Maybe, hopefully you don't spend all your time on Broadway hanging out and partying, although that's fun too. You can do that. I think what I was struck by last time is that a lot of this conference is focusing on the ways in which people get to public office, right? Rightly so. That's incredibly important, right? There are ridiculous barriers to entry, whether it's campaign finance, whether it's gerrymandering. I mean, take your pick, right? That's a very important thing. But I would ask you to confront an equally hard truth, which is that even if you get the best people to run for office, and even if those people win, they are still going to work in an institution that is fundamentally broken. And if we don't fix that institution, if we don't fix the institution of Congress itself, it's not going to matter how you change how people get there, right? It's not actually going to matter who's in charge. The jerseys may change, but the results will be the same. This is an institution that, at least since the 70s, I don't know what was going on in the 70s. I wasn't born for a decade, but has been surrendering its power to the executive branch, right? It's accelerated under Democrats and Republicans. And so the branch of government that the founders envisioned being the most powerful, indeed they were worried about it getting too powerful, has become powerless. And instead, we do everything through executive order, right? We wait every 4 years for the coming of some messianic presidential figure who's going to solve all our problems. That's not the way it's supposed to work, right? So let's figure out how we fix the institution. I have some ideas. I wrote a big article in The Atlantic at the end of last year. I would encourage you to read it because I just would like your feedback. I don't mean to be self-promotory. Is that a word? I just coined that. But I genuinely like your feedback because I'm just trying to figure out how we can do things differently because I'm convinced the status quo is failing us all. I would highlight 3 areas where we already have bipartisan support, where we could use your support. The first is in just changing simply the schedule through which Congress operates, right? Right now, you fly in on a Tuesday night, you fly out on a Thursday, people are raising money all the time, and then we don't get anything done, and then what do we do in August? We take a big vacation, take a recess. In what other job would you take a month-long vacation having failed to actually do your job? And then we call it recess, which is like, I feel like I'm in 5th grade, except people were more mature back then. Simply getting rid of the vacation, getting rid of the recess, and changing the congressional calendar so that we're forced to actually stay there and do our jobs will go a long way. So what's the second thing that you could do? Okay, let's say you get everyone in D.C., they're working, they can't go on vacation. Well, you don't want them to spend all that time raising money. How about we disallow fundraising while Congress is in session? How about that? A third simple thing that I have Democrats and Republican colleagues are intrigued by is, okay, we all know that people are using political office as a pathway to getting rich, right? People spend their time there and then they cash out and they become lobbyists. How about we just don't allow former members of Congress to become lobbyists? How about that? Three simple things that I believe could change the paradigm. I actually gave a speech on this on the House floor in the last Congress. It was during the healthcare debate, so there's a lot of other stuff going on. The Freedom Caucus was actually in hot water because they had sort of tanked the original Republican bill. And I gave the speech about political reform. And one of the leaders of the Freedom Caucus came up to me on the House floor and said, I just want to thank you for giving that speech. I said, wow, thanks for listening. You liked the speech? He said, no, I didn't really like the speech or agree with anything he said. But I want to thank you for giving that speech because yesterday, I was the least popular member of Congress, and today, you are the least popular member of Congress. But here's the thing, and I'll end with this. Political reform may not be popular with people that have spent their entire lives in politics in Washington, D.C., right, because it threatens their power. For all the concerns over the lack of bipartisanship, I'm telling you, there's a bipartisan consensus on maintaining the status quo, right? But it is overwhelmingly popular with the American people. The American people are crying out for serious reform right now, and I believe, and I was more convinced of this leaving this conference last year, that it is only a matter of time. So I just would say to you that I know it can be frustrating. I know when you're dealing with people in public office, it can be particularly frustrating. Change is slow, but please don't give up. Please keep the faith. Future generations are counting on us. We are all blessed to live in this incredible, incredible country, the greatest country in the history of the earth. We have to make sure we pass on that legacy to the next generation. So thank you for being here, and God bless America. Appreciate it.